come the drums.
Live from the AM950 studios in the Twin Cities and restrained only by FCC regulations, this is Pardon the Dissent. Now here is your host and agitator, Joey Vincent.
Hello, Twin Cities. Hello, listeners nationwide and worldwide, live streaming the show right now. Welcome to Pardon the Dissent. That is the name of the show. My name is Joey Vincent. I am your host. I am your agitator. I'm going to tell you guys up front, Tony, you too, I am feeling rowdy tonight. I am exceptionally agitated. I know I go through life every day with a certain degree of agitation.
Born agitated.
Born agitated. Came out of the womb complaining about
right.
the healthcare in this country. I came out saying that. So I don't know, whatever. But today, exceptionally rowdy, exceptionally worked up. We'll get into that. Today's date, September 28th, the year 2015. Back in the studio after his day vacation last week. Tony Williamette, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I told you, agitated, frustrated, mad.
That's what I like about you.
We're gonna get into it though. I do want to mention or have you talk about real fast. You've got your open house at your recording studio, Minnehaha Recording Company, coming up here in the Twin Cities.
October 10th. It's going to be 2 p.m. Open house, open to the public, open to artists,
and
musicians.
Just anybody can come, right?
Anyone.
Just anybody listening right now.
Well, no blacks or gays.
He's totally joking.
Totally joking. It's AM950, guys.
He's totally joking. Holy cow. That's the last show ever. But yeah, just anybody can come, check out the studio, see what he does.
Please, open to the public, artists, community, hip-hop artists, rap artists, punk artists, acoustic, folk, anyone interested in doing a podcast, come on by. We're on 45th and Minnehaha in South Minneapolis, 2 blocks from Minnehaha Falls. So
no accordion artists. That's the only
No
accordion artists. Sponsors of Pardon the Dissent. Bell Bonds Doctor, our title sponsor. Thank you very much. Natural, pure drinking water, the only drinking water that I consume in this body that is somewhat temple-like. A very large temple. Minnehaha Recording Company that we were just talking about. They're a sponsor as well, too. Stupid Simple Branding and Scotty and the Don. Thank you guys all for helping me put this show together. Listeners, if you want to check out those sponsors, and of course you do because you want to support them, and by doing that you're supporting the show, go to pardonthedissent.com, click on the sponsor tab, then click on each individual logo of all those wonderful sponsors, and you can visit their web presence and get to know a little bit about them and maybe, throw some shekels at them, spend some money, do all that stuff. Also, when you're at the Pardon the Dissent website, pardonthedissent.com, you will find all the links or all the different options of podcast listening, because every live show we do is released as a podcast shortly after it airs, and I do a once-a-week direct-to-podcast episode of Pardon the Dissent that you can only listen to by podcast. That's what direct-to-podcast means. And you can find all those sources if you're iTunes, if you're TuneIn, if you're SoundCloud, Stitcher. Maybe you're listening on the partnership we have with the Live and Social Network. There's links to all that stuff, and you can listen to all those episodes there. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tease the one coming up this week because we got another big episode coming up as a podcast. If you remember earlier, a couple months ago, we interviewed Sam Richards. Sam Richards is a local investigative journalist here in the Twin Cities, a young guy who broke the worldwide story of, because it made worldwide news, of the FBI spy planes flying around the Twin Cities and cities across the country. Well, guess what? That's not the only government agency doing that, and he's going to talk about that on the podcast I'm recording late Wednesday night, releasing early Thursday morning, so be prepared for that as well, too. Call-in number. Call-in number if you want to call into the show tonight, 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205, and I'm really encouraging phone calls tonight, and I'm very specific about what I want you to talk about. You can call about anything, but I really want, because we're going to talk about the upcoming Black Lives Matter protest, Black Lives Matter St. Paul protest, being referred to as Black Marathon, that's happening here in the Twin Cities, and it's got the lily whites all worked up. And if you're some of those people, if you want to call in and tell me why I'm wrong for supporting them, why they're wrong for doing what they're doing, I want to hear from you. I want to hear what your objections are, and what your problem is with Black Lives Matter. We're going to talk it out. We're going to work it out. So pro or con, if you're in support of Black Lives Matter, call in. Let them know. Say it right here on this radio that you support what they're doing. We want to hear that as well, too. Let's do some warm-up headlines here, some headlines that I feel you should know. And that should pretty much take us out of this first segment. This is rare good news, I think, at least in part. I'm skeptical, though, how long it's going to last. I've got the story here from TheGuardian.com. Shell abandons Alaska Arctic drilling. They pulled the plug on that. Shell has abandoned its controversial drilling operations in the Alaskan Arctic in the face of mounting opposition in what is in the face of jubilant environmentalists describing as a unmitigated defeat for big oil. The Anglo-Dutch company had repeatedly stressed the enormous hydrocarbon potential of the far north region to the public, but in private began to admit that they have been surprised by the popular opposition that it has faced. Yes, they are very surprised that people are actually right now paying attention to what's going on in the world, and they are fighting back. Good for you people who have been fighting, kayakers and everybody else who is fighting this. But again, my BS radar is going off on this one. I need to follow this a little closer and see what's going to happen because it seems really strange that they'd pull out of what they claim was such a high return potential.
Seems like a terrible place to kayak.
Oh, no, I'm talking about the kayak protesters that were like blocking the drilling ships.
I saw that. That's down in the
Seattle area where they were staging, getting ready to go into the Arctic. They had all the ships and the drilling
didn't follow
machines.
them to the Arctic in the kayaks.
No, that would have been not a good thing. But as of right now, they've stopped operations. We'll see how long that lasts. Next story here coming from the New York Post. This is an older story, a week or so old, but it's like an onion, like you were saying earlier. It's like an onion headline, and I just wanted to talk about it.
Unfunny.
Unfunny onion. Headline, Chris Christie orders someone else to lose weight.
What are we talking about?
Exactly. New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, who has struggled with his own weight over the years, has given a state military official 90 days to slim down or face dismissal. The Republican governor and presidential primary candidate, a commander-in-chief of the New Jersey National Guard, has reprimanded Guard Brigadier General Michael Cunniff, C-U-N-N-I-F-F, for repeatedly dodging mandatory Pentagon physical fitness tests. Come on, Chris. Come on.
You know he doesn't want to be the guy that has to tell him, right?
Yeah, I know. It's basically like a pot full of gravy, calling a kettle full of gravy black. I don't know. I could just imagine him he's addressing this guy with a big turkey leg in his hand, jabbing his face. You gotta lose weight.
Cigarette in the other hand. Yeah.
So presidential.
I like a robust guy in charge.
I'm robust.
Well, you're in charge here.
He's.
It's the only reason I'm here.
He's got satellites traveling around him. I'm fat. I can make fun of other fat people. It's like the N-word when you're black. Last one here I'm going to squeeze in. Everybody knows House Speaker John Boehner stepped down. He's no longer going to be in politics anymore. Yeah. And I feel bad. I want to say, I'm not a fan of him, but I feel bad for conservatives. I know they're feeling really bad right now because I know how bad it feels when I lose a boner. Boom. Thank you. Guys, this is Pardon the Dissent. We'll be right back. We're going to talk a little bit about Black Lives Matter. All you mad people, get on the phone. Get ready to call me. Let's talk it out. Pardon the Dissent.
Evil minds that plot destruction, sorcerer of death's construction.
Hello?
Oh, man, I'm really in a world of hurt now.
Really? How long have you been there?
I don't really know, but I have to be at work tomorrow.
Oh, man, you gotta call the doctor.
Really? But it's so late, and doctors make me nervous. Maybe I should just wait here and see if this gets any better.
No, trust me. The Bell Bonds doctor is always the best option, and he's available 24/7. Unlike other Bell Bondsmen, this guy is extremely trustworthy and professional. He can get you out in no time. give him a call.
One day, even you could find yourself needing the help of a bail bond service. That's why you should know there is a professional, dependable, and affordable option. Bail Bonds Doctor. Before you find yourself in this position, put this number in your phone, 612-332-3030. Available 24/7 at 612-332-3030. Online at bailbondsdoctor.com. The doctor is in when you need to get out.
We want to hear from you, so get connected to Pardon the Dissent. You can find us on Facebook by searching for Pardon the Dissent. Follow us on Twitter at PT Dissent. Email us at pardonthedissent@gmail.com and visit our website, pardonthedissent.com.
I know some soldiers that sleep but they can't dream. Wake up with screams, sounds of M16. So take this medal of honor for your bravery. I wish you the best, kid. You and your family. If I was president.
Pardon the Dissent, AM950. The number again, if you want to call in, if you want to inject yourself into the show, if you want to dissent, if you want to agree with what we're talking about, whatever you want to do, call 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Call right now. We'll get you lined up. We'll get you in. All right, here's what we're going to talk about. And if this carries over to the rest of the show, I have no problem doing it. I've got other stuff prepared, but this is my centerpiece story here. And it's, again, talking about the activism happening with all the Black Lives Matter groups nationwide right now. But this one specifically, and God bless them, probably one of the most active groups that at least that I'm following in the news is right here in the Twin Cities, and that's the Black Lives Matter St. Paul. Let me first read the story. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to kind of circle back into some of my aggravation here, but I'm just going to, I know there's other people listening and you're maybe not following the story as closely as we are here in the Twin Cities. First, I'm getting this from CBSLocal.com. Here's your headline. Marathon organizers respond to Black Lives Matter plans. And you'll learn the plans as I read the story here. With 6 days left until one of the most popular marathons in the Midwest, organizers are responding to Black Lives Matter, whose members say they intend to disrupt the event. The Twin Cities Marathon starts at 8 a.m. Sunday near U.S. Bank Stadium, the new home of the Minnesota Vikings. The finish line is near the Minnesota State Capitol. It's been labeled the most beautiful urban marathon in America. But one group has plans to change that. The St. Paul chapter of the group Black Lives Matter is planning to protest on Sunday, and the leaders say they plan to block the finish line to prevent runners from completing their 26.2 miles. Exactly, which you don't have to block me because I'm not going to do 26. I'm not going to do 2 miles. I'm not going to run it. Organizer Rashad Turner, who we interviewed on this show live just a few weeks ago, says that protesters will, this is a quote from him, become the finish line, blocking the path of the runners just about 1 mile from the actual end of the race. So that's what they plan to do. And there's another little quote I want to read here, jumping ahead in the story. It's a long story. I'm not going to read you the whole thing. Rashad Turner with St. Paul chapter Black Lives Matter said, quote from Rashad, "Our job as an organization is to keep the pressure on. Our job is to let the community know that every day we are planning on dismantling white supremacy." And that kind of goes into one of my first points I want to talk about here, is he is absolutely correct. He is absolutely doing the right strategy. The group is doing the right strategy, and I 100% agree with him on that. Until there's no win, there's no success, there's no end of the race until people acknowledge this, until people respond, until people start to deal with this issue and not just like, oh yeah, we get it. You know, you're mad about some stuff. No. This is the right tactic and what he needs to be doing. Let me talk about my frustration now. This morning, I wasn't even planning to talk about this yet. I was going to let the event happen, let the protest happen, then come back the following Monday and then talk about it, you know, the result. But this morning I woke up, went to work, my day job, listening to liberal AM radio. Not want to point out the station. You'll probably figure it out. And the host was almost trying to take to task Black Lives Matter for this protest, right? He was calling them out for doing this. Now, in his defense, he's been very supportive of them. He's never said that they don't have an issue, and that whatever they're saying is not important. He's never said that. But it was like this particular instance, this particular protest was too much for him. And he was calling them out, saying, this is wrong. You shouldn't do this, right? He got as far as saying this race is used for qualifying for other races. Like that is anywhere comparable to what the Black Lives Matter protesters are protesting, right? And it was at that point I just got to a level of disgust. Like I've got to talk about this.
Joey Vincent from Pardon the Dissent came after me.
I have no idea who that is, but if that is your rationale, okay, is if you're worried, and I don't want to make this about this particular guy, because this is a thought process, a thinking that all kinds of people have, not even just white people. There's even some black people that are even, for some reason protesting here. But screw your race. And I don't mean your physical race. I mean your marathon race. Screw your race, okay? This is human life, an equality, a safety, a security within your world, within the nation, within your state, within your city that you live in is so vastly more important than a silly race that it's disgusting for me to even hear somebody suggest that idea. That it's completely wrong, and it's a total priority failure in my view. Okay. If you want these protests, I've said this many, many times, if you want this protest to stop, then you need to engage and attack what is wrong and attack the problems and things that are being held up, because these problems aren't just black problems. These are societal problems, and we are all this in this society. Okay? If you can't see the importance of stopping the death of unarmed black people by law enforcement, if you can't see the problems of a unequal economic system within this country that has varying levels of access depending on race or your current economic status, if you don't think that's important, if you don't think that plays into your world and affects you in some kind of way, you're extremely, extremely foolish. You are, and that's why I'm so angry about this. And something that the host said and other people are saying is that this kind of protest here, this is going to turn people against Black Lives Matter. They're going to lose support. Well, hey, mostly fellow white people, here's a real shocking surprise for you. Number one, they don't need your acceptance. They don't need your permission. And surprise, even more, they don't care if they get it or not. They don't care. They do not care. This is not about saying the right things and keeping people happy and protesting within the parameters of whatever your idea of what acceptable protesting is. That whole suggestion that there's a acceptable form of protest is ignorance. That is stupid to me. That people even put that out of their mouths. No, screw you. The protest needs to be as extreme. It needs to be as unrelenting as it takes to get a solution, okay? That fixes everything. The minute you people acknowledge what's going on, choose to deal with it as a unified group of fellow human beings, okay, and make changes, then you can run your silly-ass race, okay? You can run your stupid marathon, and then that stuff becomes important then because we fixed other things. I've got a caller on the line. Cliff, I'm going to get to you in just a second here. Here's an example of, we got 2 minutes left here, Tony. Here's an example of some of the social media posts that I'm seeing here. I'm going to read a couple. Maybe I'll read a couple in the next segment. And I'm not going to go as far as bust these people out. Again, I'm attacking the ignorance. I don't want to attack the people. Here's a quote made on a post about this story, about the Black Marathon, the protest getting ready to happen. I don't see protesting a marathon. I don't see how protesting a marathon that anyone can join helps their cause. These people have trained for months or years to do this run. Why would protesters punish runners for something that happened that is out of the marathon runner's control? Does BLM have a permit for this protest? The marathon certainly had to pay permits for this event. Again, this is kind of the same thing I just got talking about here. Screw your race, okay? We as humans, we as people in a shared society, we have a responsibility to each other, okay? We are not individuals here. We share this world, and you do not deserve to have your little precious marathon race, okay? While your fellow human being is suffering into a degree that the Black Lives Matter people are protesting for. And let me again remind you guys, this is not just about black people, okay? To the silly, slow-thinking people that can't understand that it's not about blacks only lives matter. It's about Black Lives Matter because that was a focal point. But they are fighting for everyone. They're fighting for you. They are fighting for me. They are fighting for anybody who may end up in a situation or who is currently in a situation in life where they could be victimized either by an economic injustice or a legal injustice or dealing with law enforcement or just walking down the damn street. This is part of the dissent. We're going to come back. We're going to keep talking about this. Cliff will get you back on right after this break.
Are you a musician or songwriter looking for quality production and recording? Minnehaha Recording Company can help. With over 10 years of experience in recording and production, Minnehaha Recording Company offers recording, mixing, and mastering on any type of project, including full bands, hip-hop artists, and podcast production. For more info, visit minnehaharecording.com or call 612-564-8088.
When the revolution comes. When the revolution comes, guns and rifles will be taking the place of poems and essays. Black cultural synthesis.
Pardon the dissent. AM950 radio back at you. Again, that number tonight to call in, a number every night to call in, 952-946-6205. And we're going into the second break. We're going to be talking about the Black Marathon, the Black Lives Matter St. Paul protest getting ready to happen next weekend here in the Twin Cities. And I want you to call in. If you're pro or con, I want you to call in. Let me real fast do I forgot to do the live read for one of our sponsors in that first thing. I'm so worked up, Tony. I'm forgetting to do my job. I'm agitated.
That's what I like about you.
Oh, man. Our title sponsor here at Pardon the Dissent is Bell Bonds Doctor. Bell Bonds Doctor. If you're not familiar with the Bell Bonds industry, those are the people that come get you out of the hooscow when you've broken a law, for the state law, maybe you're protesting without a permit, right? You didn't get your permit to protest, and now the government's going to come arrest you for exercising your freedom of speech because you don't have a permit for your freedom of speech, which is the most ignorant argument I've ever heard in my life. But I digress. Bell Bonds Doctor is the company you need to call. BellBondsDoctor.com is their website. BellBondsDoctor.com. Go to their website. Learn about this company. They are a very respectable company within the Bell Bonds industry with years of experience, and they want to help you in any of those uncomfortable situations that end up with cuffs. And definitely I recommend them. And also put their phone number in your phone so you have it when you need it, or tattoo it on your neck, whichever you prefer. 612-564-8088, 612-564-8088. That is Bell Bonds Doctor. The doctor is in when you need to get out. Again, talking Black Lives Matter, and we have Cliff all the way from Boise, Idaho, calling in tonight. Cliff, are you there, sir?
I'm here, Joey. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, sir. Thank you for calling in. And just so everyone knows, I know who Cliff is. Cliff is my
I know
uncle.
Who you are too.
And I just assumed that was you, Cliff. I was like, I don't know too many Cliffs in Boise, Idaho. I'm going to assume that this is my Uncle Cliff. Thank you for calling.
Me, and I just wanted to call in and affirm that you're absolutely correct, sir.
Thank you.
This is a bunch of bullshit.
Watch it on national radio. Watch your.
Yeah.
We can get away with it. We can get away with the S word sometimes, but just be careful.
But you're absolutely correct. And the protests that are going on, like in Minneapolis, et cetera, are absolutely correct. It's we have an issue in this country with people of color. And if you look at our prison population and a few things like that, you can see that. And people have every right to raise their voice and protest this in any manner that's available to them. I don't feel like any of these protests are wrong.
Right.
I feel like it's time for us to listen.
Right.
I live in Lily White, Idaho. I mean, it's disgusting sometimes. I can go to a bar, and some of the stuff that I'll hear from people in a bar here in Lily White, Idaho, is disgusting.
Right.
We need to change this.
We definitely do.
We're all human beings.
Exactly. That is my point here. That should be the baseline for everyone's thinking. There is the human baseline. So just to refresh her, you're totally with it. You don't care about interrupting a marathon runner, in stopping his record time or his or her record time. For this in your view definitely more important. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. I'm saying that exactly.
Awesome. I appreciate it, Cliff. Thanks for calling in tonight, man. I'm going to talk to you soon.
Yep. You're welcome, Joey, and I'll talk to you soon, buddy.
All right, man. Be safe. Awesome. That was Cliff from Boise, Idaho. We got another caller on the line. Did we lose him, Tony?
Yeah, I think we did. Here, let me get this real quick.
Okay, good. Go ahead and take that call. Brad, if we dropped your call, feel free to call back in. That's our fault. So, yeah, we're talking Black Lives Matter tonight, AM950, Pardon the Dissent. The number is 952-946-6205. And, again, I have other stuff prepared. I've got other things I want to talk about, but this is the issue, and I'm encouraging you to call. I don't care what your position is. If you think I'm full of crap, call in and tell me I'm full of crap, but make sure you're ready and prepared to tell me why I'm full of crap. If you're supporting Black Lives Matter, and you should, in my view, okay, you should, because these are people boots on the ground fighting for equality for all of us. It's not just blacks. It's not just pick your minority. This is all of us. There's a group among not even just race, it's a poverty level, an economic level that's affected by the things that they are fighting for. It's all of that, okay? If you're one of those people, the all lives matter people, and can't understand the concept that Black Lives Matter does not exclude anyone, okay? You need to take time to understand, okay? Don't let your brain create thoughts, okay? Think. Research what you're talking about. Talk to people who are involved. Ask them questions, okay? Rashad, he's a very approachable guy. If you're in the Twin Cities, add him on Facebook or send him a message via Facebook. Send him a respectable question. Explain to me why Black Lives Matter is important, Rashad. He will take the time to explain it to you. He will take the time to explain his point of view. This is not, and this is really what it feels like at times. It feels like that the mostly white people are just think that this is something like black people taking over the planet, or taking over the country, man. That's not what it is, okay? This is black people wanting equality, wanting a baseline of equality that supersedes race, that supersedes economic status. That's what's being fought for. You need to get this through your heads, and then from there, okay, make a judgment. Many of you are not doing that. Many of you are just reading a word black, and it scares the mess out of you. You're scared to death because you see Black Lives Matter, and for some reason in your small-minded brain, you think that's an attack on you. It's not. Think. We got another caller. We got Stacy from somewhere in Minnesota. Stacy, are you there?
I'm here. I'm from St. Paul, Minnesota.
Welcome to the show, Stacy. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
I do agree with you that it is a good thing that Black Lives Matter is protesting, holding that protest. And people need to remember that protesting is not about making people comfortable. It is very uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable not only for the protesters, but for the people that are, held up or are affected by the protesting. But another thing that I wanted to mention to you, are you aware of the news station? I can't remember which one it was the other day, showed legislation where someone was asking for billions of dollars to increase beds at the Rush City prisons. They said that there's not enough beds to hold the number of prisoners that they are expecting, and they believe that it's affected by the Minnesota sentencing guidelines. And wouldn't that money be more effective to be given to education and preschool and Head Start?
Exactly. No, I have not heard that. I will look into that. But no, that doesn't surprise me in the slightest. And here's what it is, Stacey. There's no profitability in the short term, at least, for education. Okay. Yeah, you're going to employ some teachers, you're going to take some jobs, but there's more profit to be made by the people who are controlling the purse strings around here to build more prisons, to house more bodies. Okay, that's why they send lobbyists to Washington to convince politicians to create more laws, to create longer sentences, so they can house people in these modern day slave quarters. And they can tax the taxpayer for this. They can use them for slave labor. They can sell that pennies on the dollar labor to corporations, and that's what feeds this machine. And that is what is the prison industrial complex that we're dealing with here. And another thing that Black Lives Matter is fighting against right now. Stacey, thank you for your call. We got just a couple minutes, Brad. Just hold on to me. I'm going to get you back in the next break as soon as we come back in. Pardon the Dissent, AM950. Phone number is 952-946-6205. Call in. We're talking about Black Lives Matter. We're talking about Black Marathon protests happening next week, being done by the Black Lives Matter St. Paul right here in the Twin Cities. I want to hear what you got to think. Brad, hang on tight. We'll be right back after this break.
Wave the flag and take a stand. Stand in line and shake his hand.
You support local businesses, so it's time you get to know the locally owned Natural Pure Drinking Water. They're a family business that's been providing water for the Twin Cities since 1986. Their water is purified using reverse osmosis, effectively removing chemicals such as salt, magnesium, iron, fluoride, lead, and calcium, as well as bacteria. Their water is also treated with ultraviolet light to protect against all airborne bacteria. Natural Pure Drinking Water carries a variety of BPA-free bottles. Their bottles include 5 gallons, 3 gallons, 2 gallons, and 1 gallon. Servicing their machines every 30 days. This means you have plenty of options when you're providing water for your home or office. Using Natural Pure Drinking Water makes excellent coffee, tea, and ice cubes, and you can find their water at many local retailers. They're online at naturalpuredrinkingwater.com, and be sure to check out their Facebook page. Ask for Natural Pure Drinking Water at your local grocery store and select co-ops.
This is Colleen from Nightingale Restaurant, inviting you to join us for our soulful Saturday and Sunday brunch, served weekly from 10 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. We feature made-from-scratch dishes, including shrimp and grits, house-brine corned beef hash, and smoked pork shoulder on masa cakes. We proudly serve locally roasted coffee and handcrafted cocktails, now including bottomless mimosas. In addition, you'll enjoy live spun records by some of the best soul DJs in town. Find Nightingale at 26th and Lyndale and online at nightingalempls.com.
If you want to listen to Pardon the Dissent, but don't always have time to catch us live, each show is available as a podcast on iTunes and Stitcher Radio. You can also live stream Pardon the Dissent and listen to us no matter where you're at. Just go to pardonthedissent.com and follow the live streaming instructions.
Salute to those who gone with bullets, and I promise to rhyme and qualm, rep this life to the fullest. And can we please have a moment of truth? For soldiers and troops away with helmets and boots and
Pardon the Dissent, AM950 Radio, coming to you live from the Twin Cities. We're talking Black Lives Matter. We're talking Black Marathon protests. The Black Lives Matter St. Paul group is doing this weekend here. They plan to protest, to interrupt to dissent, to agitate during the Twin Cities Marathon coming up this weekend, and I am in full support of them, and I hope that most of you are too. I want you to call in and want to talk about it. I want to hear your opinion about it. 952-946-6205. We've got a couple callers on standby getting ready to talk. Real fast, I want to read another comment here from social media about the in regards to the story. BLMSP, Black Lives Matter St. Paul, cannot rightfully call either standing on a marathon course or laying down on light rail tracks, which is a process they did a couple weeks ago, a peaceful protest. He said that in quotes. Actions that are intended to, quote, threaten or disrupt the public peace, end quote, are not legal protests. If it quacks, it's a duck. I have no clue what that means by that last thing here. Hey, here's the surprise here, sir. First name Rick, and then give out your last name. Protests don't have to be legal, okay? That's not the deal here. Like, you're maybe, based on your comment, maybe you're a big fan of the Boston Tea Party. Do you think they threw their own tea in the water? Do you think that, or do you think that was destruction of private property? Okay, this is too a peaceful protest. There is no violent action. It's a passive move where they lay down in the street and, of course, do what is called a die-in, where they act like the victim of an innocent, unarmed victim who's been murdered by law enforcement. You know, the actual crime, okay? Are you forgetting that, what they're protesting? Actual crime, actual death, actual murder. All right, let's go to some phone calls. Brad in Shoreview right here in Minnesota. Brad, what's on your mind, sir? Thank you for calling back. I apologize we dropped you.
Oh, no big deal. Say, look, I think that nothing is going to change. There's two key things that have changed in America. I graduated from high school in 1974, and at that time they had the fairness doctrine in full swing. And then when Reagan got in office, they abolished the fairness doctrine that made people, you know, the fairness doctrine, if Rush Limbaugh said something, he had to give equal time to debate that issue with someone who was on the other side. Once that was gone, guys like Rush flourished because he would cater to these people's fears and all this other crap. And then the other thing was when Bill Clinton signed the Telecommunications Act of 1996, that is exactly when the Orwell world really started picked up steam, because the bottom line is nobody knows about this stuff. And if they had to report it and it wasn't media consolidation, we wouldn't be having these problems at all. And I think it is the core issue. You could have the Black Lives, which they certainly have a right to complain, but the point is no one knows about it, and guys like, you know, Channel 4 or CBS or whatever, they don't have to report the other side of that story that they come out, even though we know it's all baloney.
Right.
So it's media, the fourth estate, that has been totally hijacked, and you and I have nothing to say about it.
All right.
And that is the bottom line, and that's why we're at where we're at today. That's why you got people. I have friends of mine with PhDs that believe this crap that Fox News says, and their ability to critically think is totally gone.
I totally agree with that part of it. And I have to cut you short there, Brad. I got a bunch of other callers online I want to squeeze in this last segment, but thank you for your call. I will respond to you, though. I believe in what you're saying. I accept what you're saying, and you are right to a degree, but there is something to be done. And the only solution is exactly what Black Lives Matter, St. Paul is doing, and that is protest, that is disrupting the status quo. That is what I tried to do on the show, what other friends of mine within the activism community are doing. That is what has to be done, okay? And there is a solution, and that is unifying all people. That is unifying all of us. All you people who are so scared of the name Black Lives Matter, drop your fears. Drop all of that. Talk, communicate, educate yourself, come together. We need to fight together. That is the only solution, Brad, that or anybody else. That's the only thing that we can do is fight as a unified force against these things and fight together and understand that not everyone has the same levels of equalities, the same level of rights, the same economic mobility. We need to change that, and that is the solution. Real fast, going to Sanchez, calling from California. Sanchez, how are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing good, Joey. Real quick, because I know you're running late here. Look on your notes there, and please tell me where it says in your notes that the police in this damn country have become judge, jury, and executioner to victims that are presumed to be innocent when they're arrested. Where does it say that?
You know what? This is where it says it. This says it in the community's response. If the community allows it to happen, it might as well be a law. And that's something I strive for. If you don't stand up, if you don't understand, take the time to learn what's happening and fight what's happening, it will visit you eventually. And by not doing anything, by your inactivity, you are allowing it to happen. You might as well just sign the law yourself.
Right. And here in Long Beach, California, a chapter of Black Lives Matter recently went out on the streets for the latest victims, the latest killings here in Long Beach. And they are not black. They are white. They are of Persian descent, Middle Eastern descent, Latinos. And we're still going out and clamoring in the street. And we're still doing die-ins. So it's not about Black Lives Matter. As you said, it's about this economic racism in our justice system. It's about the man giving it to all of us. And if you don't wake up and realize that, then you belong to them.
Exactly. Good point. Thank you for calling in tonight, Sanchez. I appreciate it, as always. I got another caller online, Brad P. Robbinsdale. Brad, how you doing, sir?
All right. And, I mean, I pretty much agree with much of what has been said here. I guess my only difference is that I think the Black Lives. Standing in the front of the people who are running there, I mean, crosses the line to being a-holes. I mean,
why is that?
And I think they can put their energies to more constructive.
Tell me why. Tell me why laying down, disrupting that event, it makes them a-holes. Tell me exactly why you feel that. I'm not attacking. I just want to hear what you say.
Well, are they going to lay down? Are they going to stand up? Are they just going to? I mean,
as I understand, they're going to lay down and prevent them from easily traveling through the finish line. That's how I understand it. What's wrong with that?
Okay, well, it might, for some of the runners, it might actually be something important to finish a few seconds quicker. And I mean, I guess my
do you believe in social responsibility, Brad? Do you believe that do you believe in social responsibility? Do you believe that you as an individual?
I definitely do.
Okay, now do you think? Hold on, listen to it. Hold on, Brad. Hold on. Now, do you believe that social responsibility? What do you think is more important? Fellow human beings, life, suffering, or worried about a race? Which one's more important to you? Human life or a marathon?
Okay, well, I think they both can coexist. Let's say.
Okay,
anyway,
but we're not going to coexist. We're going to pick one or the other, and one is definitely more important. I'm not trying to jump on you, Brad. I just want to argue your point here, and I want to address what you're saying. Human life, human suffering, whether it being death, be it economic immobility. Okay, these things are much more important than a race. This is a recreational event. A lot of these people are wealthy individuals who have disposable income to train and invest and apply to these races and do this kind of thing. And I don't begrudge them for doing that. Okay, I wish I could run.
Well,
but we need to take care of the social issues first. We need to take care of the loss of human life first. We need to take care of people who don't have the same advantages, who don't have the disposable income because the system is set up against them. So I bet they would love to run a marathon, right? What about all those people who have died, unarmed people who have been killed by law enforcement officers? I bet maybe they wanted an opportunity to run a marathon, right?
Okay, I mean, I agree with all of that, but again, I would imagine my suggestion is that Black Lives Matter can maybe put their energies to more constructive activities like voter registration or going and
who says they're not
harassing political officials.
They do all these things, Brad.
Getting in their faces.
They do all these things. These are things that are happening. This is just one of many tools that they are using, the activism tools that they are using to protest the situation here. This is what's being done right now.
It's going to probably create more animosity and lack of support for the movement. I support Black Lives, and I am outraged by police activity. And so, I mean, I think these are important concerns. And I mean, I want to be out there in the street, protesting as well. But I think just disrupting this event.
Well.
And my analogy would be if people walked into
I got to cut you here, Brad. I got to cut you here. I apologize. I'm not trying to cut your thought. I got your thought here. We're about ready to go to break, so I apologize about that.
Yeah, hold on, Brad. Thank you for your call, and call in next week, and we'd love going back and forth like this. We really appreciate your call.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm sure
okay, appreciate it.
Peace of the revolution.
Okay. Look. This is what's happening, and I think it's a, and I don't mean this is insulting to Brad. I think it's an arrogant position to think. Number one, they don't need your approval, Brad. They don't need any of our approval. Okay, I think if you were in the same situation, if you had the same limitations in life as the majority of the people within Black Lives Matter, I think it would become a little bit more important to you, and you wouldn't give a damn about a race. Pardon the Dissent. Joey Vincent, AM950. We'll be right back.
The term foodie can sometimes come across as a tickle pretentious. BT and Lydia are here to demystify the term and reclaim it for the sake of good food. Their weekly podcast brings in fellow foodies and culture creators from the Twin Cities to talk about all things food. Find this duo only on the Alive and Social Network.
You better wake up and smell a real flavor, 'cause 911 is a flavor. So get up and get down. 911 is joking.
Pardon the Dissent. Joey Vincent here. As I want to end the show, I want to reiterate my support for Black Lives Matter St. Paul. I want you guys to have a safe and effective protest. I hope that everybody that's in attendance, I hope you take the time and not have an emotional gut reaction to what's going to happen. But I hope you have a logical one. I hope you stop and think. I hope you try to put yourself in other people's situations, other life experiences. Just try to imagine yourself in there for a little bit and ask yourself, how much do you think you would be willing to put up with? Because we're talking about hundreds of years of discrimination, of violence, of murder, and that's what they're fighting for. And that's not just for them as black people, it's for all of us as human beings, okay? Because if all the black people are gone and all the other minorities are gone, who do you think's next? It's the poorest of the white people, okay? It's all comes around. We need to unify. We need to all be one group. Guys, this is Pardon the Dissent. I'm sorry I didn't get to all the shows. I'll try to cover them on the podcast. We'll cover them next week. Make sure you're back here next Monday night, 11 p.m. for Pardon the Dissent. Till then, keep seeking the truth.
I hang myself at half-mast. It's the makeshift, the patriot, the flag shop is out of stock. I hang myself. Don't wave your rights with your flags. Camera.